This is History of Sports Media. Case Study. Assignment 1. Alright, hello all sports fans out there, and welcome to this case study. My name is T-Money, and this is case study number 1. In this episode, you will be hearing my thoughts on a topic that has not only been debatable with select racing fans, but select drivers as well. That topic is, do IndyCars belong on ovals? After Dan Wheldon's death at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway on October 16, 2011, it left the entire racing world in shock. So much so that five-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion Jimmie Johnson immediately spoke out on Twitter that the IZOD IndyCar World Series should immediately put an end to racing on ovals. He would go on to say, and I quote, "I wouldn't run them on ovals. There's just no need to. Those cars are fantastic for street circuits, for road courses. There's very little crumple zone around the driver. It's an open cockpit, and then you add open wheels. It's just creating situations to get the car off the ground at a high rate of speed, and you can't control the car when it's off the ground. No more ovals," end of quote. Almost instantly, it sparked backlash, not only with the IZOD IndyCar series, but the entire open wheel series in general. Several open wheel legends, like AJ Foyt and Mario Andretti, responded at 5-time, saying in USA Today that, and I quote, "I don't think Jimmie Johnson knows what he's talking about. He's never drove one, and he's pretty stupid to make a statement like that. You could say the same about stock cars. I've driven both, and I've been real hurt in both." Mario Andretti said that Wheldon's crash was both a fluke and a freakish accident that would be addressed with the new chassis that we all know today as the DW12. Those cars are designed to keep the cars on the pavement by preventing wheel-to-wheel contact. Andretti went on to say, and I quote, "We've come a long way. In the 1960s and 70s, open-wheel drivers had a 35 to 40% chance of surviving a career. Today, it's a 99.9% chance of retiring on their own terms. Some things need to be revisited perhaps, but to say after 100 years that all of a sudden we don't have the knowledge to make these things safe enough for ovals is obviously absurd." Others, like retired Formula One driver David Coulthard, took Johnson's side, saying in London's Daily Telegraph that he passed on the chance to race in IndyCar because, and I quote, "the risk ratio reward was simply too high. Formula One was at an acceptable level, but IndyCar was, and is, probably 20 years behind in terms of safety. The main reason is simple: speed. There is no need to be racing at 225 miles per hour, wheel to wheel, around mostly oval circuits," end of quote. Eventually, this story made NBC's Nightly News, and a story included in a segment about Wheldon's death that featured Sports Illustrated senior writer Lars Anderson and NBC News contributor George Lewis. In closing, these are my thoughts. The IZOD IndyCar series and Chief Executive Officer Randy Bernard are determined to make the series as exciting for the fans as possible. Since he took over the title of IndyCar CEO in 2010, he's done just that as the popularity of the IndyCar series continues to rise. However, Wheldon's death should be a wake-up call to not just make the series exciting for the fans, but be concerned about the safety of the drivers and where they race. Tracks such as Las Vegas Motor Speedway or Richmond International Raceway, just to name a few, shouldn't even be considered for open-wheel races based on the track's layout alone. There's no room to race without cars touching each other, and we'll only see crashes like the one in the 2011 IZOD IndyCar World Championships that can cause nothing but pain and heartache. Racing will always be dangerous. The IZOD IndyCar series does produce some exciting racing on oval circuits like Chicagoland, Michigan, Pocono, and Fontana, but layouts like Las Vegas, Richmond, Dover, and Phoenix are too dangerous. Length and banking plays a big role in the safety for drivers. Well, that concludes this entry, ladies and gentlemen. You can also add me on both Tout and Keek at the T-Money35. Be safe out there, folks. I am T-Money. Till we meet again.